was news that came in from Kotak Mahindra Bank, so let's address that first up. RBI has approved a 2-month term for Dipak Gupta as the interim MD and CEO of Kotak Mahindra Bank. We have Lata joining in with the details. Lata, so let's talk about Kotak and then we'll come to the ICRR issue as well. So this was known, right, when Mr. Uday Kotak gave out that tweet announcing the succession. Yes. This was expected, but 2 months, how do you read that? And not till December 31st.
Just one word on the bank bashing that happens. Bank Nifty was the outperformer. Banks in general were the outperformer until, say, a couple of months back. And it was only after inflation went overboard and everybody realized that bank margins and margins have peaked and bank credit costs have also bottomed. I mean, you milked the cleanup of the balance sheets for about 2.5 years and bank stocks went from strength to strength. Now there is not any more in terms of credit costs to milk, as well not much more in terms of margins to make, because inflation is now suddenly, at least for the next 1 year, a bit of a bother. You're not going to get rate cuts.
If anything, I think people are now already trying to second guess when the next asset quality cycle will perhaps start, or whether it will be in retail and all. I mean, I know...
Which is, I think, a bit of extraordinary pessimism. There's really nothing, you're guessing many years down the line. Anybody who's talking of months is, I think, overstating the case. But anyway, so my point is that banks actually had their best times about up until 3 months back. And after that, genuinely, the structural fundamental factors have peaked. It doesn't mean that there is disaster ahead. It only means that there is nothing more to milk in terms of credit costs and margins. That was the limited point I was making. To come to Kotak Mahindra Bank, I think today's news should be interpreted positively. A 2-month, when they could well have given him up to December 31st, is an indication that we are going to clear the next head before November, which is very positive. I mean, you don't want the market, investors or the bank itself to feel that the regulator is going to keep you guessing till December 31st when all three of them retire. Actually, the chairman, Mr. Uday Kotak, of course, has advanced his resignation. He would otherwise have ended it on that day. And Dipak Gupta also completes his term on December 31. It's not very healthy to tell the market and the bank itself that we are going to go all the way to the line. I think it's a healthy indication, and Kotak investors should be happy. The bank should be happy.
What about, Uday Kotak staying on as the non-executive chairman of the board? How is the market? Non-executive. How is the market reading it? What is the RBI's reaction? Anything you've picked up?
Sorry I interrupted you. It is non-executive director.
Sorry.
He can't be chairman because the chairman under rules has to be an independent director. He's a shareholder director, so he's not an independent director. And therefore, chairmanship will not come. It is a non-executive director position. Now, Reserve Bank had put out regulations in August of 2021. I'm stressing regulations, that anybody who has held a position of managing director and CEO for 15 years should take a 3-year cooling off. Now, it seems to be informed by a principle that an institution should learn to live without one individual. It cannot be too dependent, because bank, unlike a steel company or a plastic company or a textile company, is not using raw material. It is using other people's money as raw material. When you lend out a 100 rupee loan, 90 rupees is depositor's money, 10 rupees is shareholder money, of which one shareholder, Mr. Kotak, would be 2.5 rupees. And therefore, we should learn to help the institution live without leaning on one person. That seems to be the principle. And also, in case there were some wrong decisions or aggressive decisions taken, the remaining three years cooling off period, things could diversify, change. A fresh mind, a fresh set of eyes and mind is brought to problems. That seems to be the indication or the principle which informed this regulation. But it's a regulation. The law allows the dominant shareholder with 26% a seat as a director. Yes. And therefore, when Mr. Kotak got elected as the non-executive director, there appears to have been a bit of a dissonance that, the spirit of the regulations have not been followed. And as an RBI insider put it, there are those who will do what is permitted. There are those who will do what is not prohibited. So this falls in that category. There is a bit of a dissonance because of that. But that's it. It's not an illegal or a wrong action. And he has run the bank, brilliantly to a fault. There's nothing you can complain about.
What's the market reaction? Because he submitted two, nominations, right? it's likely they're both internal.
In order of priority.
In order
Remember,
of
that's
priority.
what Kotak Bank said.
So there is going to be continuity from, from a market point of view, right?
Just as this 2 months is a market-moving statement, that 2 candidates was also, according to me, a stock-moving statement. Because in many other banks, they have presented 3 names. Though, there is no rule like that. It's a fairly flexible thing. If Reserve Bank feels 2 is not done, they can always ask who was the 3rd candidate, who was the 4th candidate, who were the other candidates. They could ask. But when only 2 were submitted, the expectation was that there will not be an external candidate, that the 2 would be the top internal guys. And that also would have been market positive because that will mean continuity.
Yeah, so he's there plus the 2 internal candidates.
Exactly. So it's very much the same team that's running, except that they sit on different chairs. I mean, the managing director's chair would be occupied by a different person who would perhaps all these while have been a whole-time director. And he takes the position. So actually, it is a lot of continuity. There were 1 or 2 opinions in the market that will RBI insist on a 3rd candidate so that they have an external face, so that there is, if that cooling off is not there from the non-executive director's angle, will RBI enforce it? But from what I gather, the RBI will not try to select the CEO. They only want to check whether the person is fit and proper. And who can argue that the internal candidates are not fit? That's absolutely out of the question.
Okay, so that is on Kotak. The other thing that we want to talk to you